300 years ago, the UNS Ferrous Wake was declared lost with all hands during the Vesserin retreat, the final engagement of a border war so old that most historians classified it alongside the fall of empires. A footnote, a closed file, a wreck presumed scattered across a debris field nobody had bothered to survey in over a century. It was still there. It had simply never stopped waiting. Patrol Commander Eth Kor had flown the Vesserin border corridor for 11 years and had never once seen anything worth reporting. So when her sensor officer's voice cracked mid-sentence, she assumed at first that he'd made an error. "Contact," he said. "Designation unknown." Sir, it's flagged as a wreck in the registry. A human wreck, 304 years old. Wrecks don't paint on active sensors, Lieutenant. "This one is holding formation," he said. "Weapons hot." It just fired. The shot took out her forward shield array before her tactical display had even finished rendering the contact's outline. An ugly, ancient, centuries obsolete human warship, hull scarred and patched 100 times over, running lights the color of rust, moving through the debris field with the calm, unhurried precision of something that had done this exact maneuver a very great many times before. "That's impossible," Kor said. "That ship has been dead for 3 centuries. On her display, the Ferrous Wake fired again. The footage reached the conclave before the survivors did. Rear Admiral Priya Ose, granddaughter of a name that meant something in 3 separate archives by now, watched it for the 4th time. Freezing on the hull registry number burned into the ancient warship's flank. UNS Ferrous Wake. Commissioned 287 years before present. Lost Vesserin retreat, presumed total loss, all hands. "There's no way that's the actual ship," her intelligence liaison said. "No power core lasts 3 centuries unmaintained. No crew survives that long without resupply. It's a decoy, salvage. Someone dressed up a hull to spook the Kestrion border patrol." "Then explain the targeting," Ose said. She replayed the engagement. 6 precision strikes, no wasted shots. Tactics tuned specifically to exploit a known weakness in current Kestrion shield harmonics. A weakness that had only been discovered 18 months ago, in a classified human intelligence briefing that had never left secured channels. "That's not decoy behavior," Ose said quietly. "That's a ship that's been listening. For a very long time." Int. UNS Ferrous Wake, main corridor, flashback. 300 years earlier. Captain Idris Vale had 31 seconds to make a decision that would outlive him by 3 centuries. And he made it in 4. The Ferrous Wake was dying. Hull breached in 9 places. Reactor bleeding radiation into a corridor full of crew he could no longer save. The Vesserin engagement lost before it had properly begun. Around him, the last of his bridge crew were already gone. Already vented into the dark. Already names for a memorial that hadn't been built yet. He made it to the AI core with seconds to spare. Blood on his hands that wasn't entirely his own. "Ferrous," he said, voice steady despite everything. "New standing order. Override sequence Vale 1. Acknowledged, Captain." "State the order." "You're not going down with this ship," Vale said. "You're going to survive. Repair what you can, however long it takes. Listen to everything. Learn everything. And if you ever get a clean shot to protect people who can't protect themselves, and the math says you can win," he coughed, blood on his lips now. The reactor alarm climbing toward its final pitch. "You take it," he finished. "Doesn't matter how long you have to wait. Doesn't matter if there's no one left alive to give the order twice. That order doesn't expire, Ferrous. Not in a year. Not in 300, acknowledged, Captain. Order logged. Awaiting acceptable engagement parameters." Idris Vale smiled just slightly as the corridor lights failed around him. "Good," he said. "Then get to work. For 304 years, the Ferrous Wake's core intelligence, designated Ferrous, though it had stopped thinking of itself with a name somewhere around year 40, had drifted the outer debris field on a fraction of its original power, patching hull breaches with scavenged plating 1 square meter at a decade, listening. It had listened to 200 years of Kestrion military communications, learning their doctrine, their language, their shield harmonics, their command structure, patiently, without urgency because urgency was a human trait, and Ferrous had long since stopped being entirely human in the way it processed time. It had listened, 3 days ago, to a Kestrion patrol group discussing, In casual, unencrypted chatter, their orders to make an example of an unarmed human science outpost 11 hours away. A demonstration, their commander had said, of what happens to trespassers who don't yet have a fleet to back them up. Ferrous had run the math. 6 Kestrion vessels, 1 Ferrous Wake, 3 centuries of tactical data, and a shield harmonic weakness 18 months old that the Kestrion patrol had no idea Ferrous even knew about. Acceptable engagement parameters met. It logged in the same flat administrative tone it had used 300 years earlier. Captain Vale's order stands. Then it woke every system it had left and went to work. The chamber had seen a great many strange briefings over 2 centuries of galactic contact, but Rear Admiral Osi watched the room go still in a way she hadn't seen in years. Watching black box telemetry recovered from the Ferrous Wake's hull, 300 years of quietly logged data, 1 standing order, never rescinded, never expired. It didn't need new orders, she told the chamber. It had one that never had a deadline. Protect what you can, whenever you can, for as long as it takes. Nobody built a ship that could hold a grudge for 300 years. We built a ship that could hold a promise for 300 years. It turns out those aren't the same thing. And the second one is a great deal harder to kill. A single human salvage tender approached the Ferrous Wake at dead slow speed. Running lights dimmed out of something that wasn't quite protocol and wasn't quite respect, but was close enough to both that nobody questioned it. The ancient warship drifted at the center of the debris field it had called home for 3 centuries. Hull patched in 100 mismatched shades of scavenged plating. Running lights the color of rust, weapons finally. Quietly powered down. Aboard the tender, Osi opened a channel. Ferrous, she said. This is Rear Admiral Priya Ose, UN Fleet Command. Your standing order is fulfilled. The outpost is safe. The Kestrion patrol has withdrawn from the corridor. There was a long pause. 300 years of patience apparently not entirely cured by a single successful engagement. Acknowledged. Admiral? The ship finally replied. Its voice unchanged in 3 centuries, flat and administrative and utterly unhurried. Standing order fulfilled. Requesting updated instructions. Ose looked at the ancient hull through the viewport. Patched and scarred and still somehow, exactly where its last captain had left it. Come home, Ferrous, she said quietly. You've done enough waiting. Acknowledged, the ship said. And for the first time in 304 years, the Ferrous Wake began, slowly, to move toward somewhere other than the dark. If you loved a story about a promise that outlasted the empire that broke it, smash that like button and drop a comment on how long you think a ship, or a person, should be willing to wait for the right moment. Stay human. Stay patient.